It's 300 BC and we are in Cyprus. We have a wealthy man living in this area by the name of Zeno, and in history he is known as Zeno of Citium. He had plans to get on a boat with all his belongings and go to Phoenicia, which is the eastern coast of the Mediterranean. So he puts all his belongings on the boat and sails away. But little did he know that he's gonna be confronted with disaster. His boat is gonna start sinking, and everything, all his belongings, is gonna go to the bottom of the sea. A man that was extremely wealthy all of a sudden turned into a very poor man, and everything that just happened was completely out of his control. Another boat saves Zeno, but all his belongings was at the bottom of the sea now. If you were in Zeno's position right now and all your belongings and your life savings was gone, what would your reaction be? Most people say that they would be angry, depressed, hopeless, and very sad. For most people in the world, a reaction like this is very normal, but not for Zeno, because he's the man that popularized Stoicism. The simple definition of Stoicism is acceptance. It's all about acceptance and thinking logically. This idea of Stoicism was always in Zeno's head, even way before this accident took place. But after this had happened, you could say he wanted something to do, and he started teaching this mindset that helped him along the way. And slowly, Zeno's idea turned into a philosophy around the world. Zeno says you can never control what will happen, but you can control how it affects you. For example, if you crash your car, you're going to be extremely sad. But Zeno says if something bad like this happens, take a step back, take a deep breath, and think about it logically rather than emotionally. You might say this is all easier said than done and this is useless information, but that's not the case. Because Zeno says, if you let this be your mindset, you will never be defeated ever again. Some say that Stoicism does not work in the modern era anymore and it's meant from back in the day. But Stoicism is not saying that you shouldn't care about anything and live life like it's your last. Stoicism is not about not caring. You can get sad, you can get angry and depressed, but you have to take this negative energy and route it somewhere positive and let it affect you positively. And instead of paralyzing you, it should motivate you. And something like this is much more useful in the modern world rather than back in the day. We live in a very unequal world, so nobody is the same. But what we do have that's the same is mindset. In ancient Greece and in ancient Rome as well, when they wanted to teach Stoicism, they would try their hardest to make the slaves not learn it. They wouldn't always succeed, but the reasoning behind it was that if they learned Stoicism, they would know how to think and not be a slave anymore. Or in simpler terms, they would get wiser. Some would even say if you teach the slaves about Stoicism, they're going to use it against you. They're going to get smarter. They're going to unite and work together and not listen to us anymore. They basically don't want strong-minded people that could do things for themselves. Even much before Zeno and much after, people knew about this ideology and had this type of mindset. But Zeno was the one that popularized it and showed the world what type of philosophy this is. Even Zeno has mentioned that some people have this type of mindset even without knowing this type of philosophy. In simpler terms, you could say it's genetics. But most people around the world do not have this mindset, and they're much more pessimistic. And one defeat would make them shatter all over the place. But there's always hope, because you can learn. When a child is born, from a very early age, it starts learning until the day they die. Humans are always learning, but the learnings are positive and negative. And it's your job to judge which one is bad for you and which one is good. And if you end up learning a negative trait or a negative habit, you should be strong enough to quit that habit and let go. Some humans are materialistic, so they get happy by buying things. They want a nice car, good amount of money, a nice house, things like that. There are no problems with buying these things, but you can't let it affect you negatively, because there's always a chance that you could lose these, just like Zeno lost his entire life in that boat ride. So don't dedicate your entire mindset and life to those materials, because there's always a chance that they could no longer be there, but your mind is always there. In the beginning of the video, we said nobody can control what is happening, but they can control how it affects them. A mindset like this works in two different spots: to spot out what you can control and what you cannot control. That's the most important part from starting a mindset like this. Like, for example, a person's mindset is to get that car they really want. They work very hard, they put a lot of effort in it, but it never works out and they couldn't get that car. And in this type of mindset, if you realize that you can control and what you cannot control, you can see that you put all the effort you can and you tried your hardest, but it just didn't work out. So you should not be upset about it. But if you realize that you can't control this outcome, you could use this as fuel to motivate you even harder and put even more effort into it. Like, you have a buddy that comes and roasts you and tells you, oh, you couldn't do it, what a loser. You can't even do anything right. If you have that type of mindset, in this situation, you can't let this negative thought affect you or a negative person around you affect you. You have to accept that you tried your hardest and you put all the effort you could, and you will continue to put effort into it. So don't make yourself sad by someone else's words. A man is working at an office and wants a raise, so he puts a lot of effort into it, works hard, so he can get that promotion at the end of the month. But when it comes time to talk to the boss about the promotion, it seems like he was not having a good day, so he didn't even care what you were saying and you don't get the promotion. He loses hope, goes home, and doesn't even try hard anymore, because what's the point? But Stoicism suggests that it's no problem. Your boss didn't give you a raise. You shouldn't be sad. You should be thankful that this thought is motivating you to try even harder and put much more effort into it. And with this mindset, you will never let a thought like that defeat you. So when you have a mindset like this, no negative thought will negatively affect you. Nelson Mandela is probably the best example you could use for this type of philosophy. His complete mindset was like Stoicism. For resisting the apartheid, he went to prison for 27 years. And when he came out and he became the president of South Africa, everybody thought that he's completely depressed and he's going to take revenge on the people that put him in prison. But when he gained power and became the president, he told everybody that we have to unite because we always need each other, and our country does not work if we don't work together. For doing this, he became one of the most notable men on earth, and he's going to go down in history because of this. If you want to use a person as an example of Stoicism, Nelson Mandela is probably your best guy. Even if he didn't know about this type of philosophy, it's amazing that his mind worked like that and it wasn't so pessimistic and negative. Some may say that this is like a dream. It's so easy to say all this, but it's hard to do it and take action. But it's not that complicated. It's all in your mind. In English, there is a saying that's very famous: trust the process. And this is very good advice if you actually think about it. And Stoicism is kind of there with it. If you don't give up easily from one letdown, you won't get defeated easily. If one bump in the road affects you negatively, don't let it. It's just a small bump. Use it as motivation and work even harder. Never lose hope, never get tired of it, and try to look at everything in a positive way.